Hello there my Jedi and Sith friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your friend and your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. We've got a bit of a hoopla going on with the Mandalorian and Grogu, and I just want to say before we get into this, with topics like this, box office forecasts and predictions, it's very easy to jump the gun, but with my coverage I'm going to try and stay level-headed. We're going to look at all of the facts and cover this story accordingly, and with fairness. It is a subject which unfortunately does fall to the negative side, but I'm sorry to say, but most of that has been Lucasfilm's own doing. The marketing for this film has been bizarre and honestly pretty shocking. There is buzz in some of the online fandom. I know some people who have kids and they're excited for it, families are excited for it, but in terms of the wider fandom, it could go either way. But let's walk things back, my friends. What are we talking about? BoxOfficeTheory.com have posted their predictions for The Mandalorian and Grogu's opening weekend. For the United States, because they're just doing the domestic box office, they believe The Mandalorian and Grogu opening weekend is going to do between $70 and $85 million, the lowest of any Disney Star Wars movie to date, lower than Solo: A Star Wars Story, which was a box office flop. But here's the thing, my friends. I don't think Disney is as concerned as some fans believe. With these numbers, you also have to consider the budget. As I've covered in the past, it is ridiculously low for a Disney Star Wars film. There is much more wiggle room to break even, or even make a profit, if the box office reaches 400 or 500 million when all is said and done. I will just say this though, on the high end, I could see 500, 600 million. A Mando movie releasing in 2026 was never going to do the numbers of The Force Awakens or reach the hype that we saw in 2015. Even in the context of the Mandoverse, it's a pretty low stakes, small scale movie. No Thrawn, apparently no Boba Fett, no Ahsoka. This is a self-contained mini-adventure for those who've seen the TV show. So you would expect a smaller audience, but then again, because it's being marketed as a very accessible movie, you never know if it's going to be popular with casuals just based on the vibe alone, because the movie is promising 2 hours and 12 minutes of fun and Grogu, who, like I say, no one can resist. But the majority of predictions seem to be leaning on the other end, and I've seen fellow YouTubers have a range of different takes on this, but even those on the more optimistic side, those of us who are going to see it opening day, are baffled by Lucasfilm's organization. It's not just the marketing, it's not just the trailers. The timing of the movie doesn't make sense. I genuinely think they're 2 or 3 years too late. The hype of the peak for Mando was 2020 to 2023, and I know at the time there was the global you-know-what, but if they really wanted a Mando movie, they shouldn't have condensed what I think is meant to be 2 episodes of season 4 into a big screen flick. They should have given the film higher stakes, a villain people care about, or just waited to make it the Mandoverse endgame. But this kind of strange, is it season 4, is it not, is really not doing any favours to the film's optics. And speaking of clear villains and a clear plot, with every new trailer, every new promo, that seems to be the consistent response from fans and outlets alike. Unless we're judging it too soon and there is more to the movie, maybe there are some genuine surprises in store, but at the moment, the promotional material, while fun, has been very tame. But I do just want to say, from what I've seen, I'm very impressed by the aliens and the droids. I think they're going to be the standouts. That's obviously great for merch and integrations in the parks, but I hope when we sit down to watch the film, we're blown away and we can look back and say, oh my goodness, why were we so worried? But I must admit, they have been a bit too conservative. As great as that second trailer was with Embo, the huts, different planets, different environments, other than Din Djarin taking on jobs from Sigourney Weaver's Colonel Ward, we don't know much about the central plot, which is why Gizmodo put out an article the other day which has been making the rounds. A new Mandalorian and Grogu video has me seriously worried. It's a behind-the-scenes video showing us how they brought to life some of the aliens and the droids. And by the way, my friends, the Rhodian New Republic officer from season 3 is back. Just a quaint little tidbit, but Gizmodo said this: what was it that made you fall in love with Star Wars? Was it the creatures? Was it the space battles? Was it the awesome lightsabers? The toys? Of course. All of the above and more. But none of that would have mattered if you didn't care or relate to the characters. And then they say, and we think the marketing for The Mandalorian and Grogu is sorely lacking in that crucial area. Next month, The Mandalorian and Grogu, the first Star Wars movie in 7 years, will be hitting theaters. And yet, do you hear that? those are crickets in terms of excitement that a new Star Wars movie is coming out in a few weeks. Why? Because everything we've seen from the movie has told us nothing about it, and secondly, there is no big hook to get audiences outside of Star Wars to go and see it. And their case in point is the clip I mentioned about the aliens and the droids. They say, quote, "It's just Favreau and his co-stars highlighting a bunch of creatures that feature in the film, and we have to admit, they look awesome. But is that enough of a selling point? It's like saying, we made a Marvel movie, and there are superheroes in it. Of course there are. It's a bare minimum, but we have to have a connection to them. All we know," they say, "is that it's about the Mandalorian and Grogu helping the New Republic with some bounties. Clearly there is more to that, and clearly it's very specifically being hidden. But given the state of Star Wars, Gizmodo thinks that is a big mistake." And summed up, the rest of the article goes on to basically ask the question, who knows? It could be great, it's probably going to look great, but at the moment, it doesn't inspire confidence. And we know from that insider a few weeks ago that Disney themselves are honestly quite nervous. They seem very excited about Starfighter, which, as you guys know, I think should have come first. Also, other considerations with The Mandalorian and Grogu, the third season not being too popular with fans, those who checked out, those who don't know the characters and haven't seen the show, those who say, well, I haven't seen the first 3 seasons, so I might be lost. And then there are those who are just going to wait for it on Disney+. And I have to admit, I can see a scenario where it does well on streaming, but not as well in cinemas. But even as Gizmodo concedes, despite these problems, despite the marketing and the secrecy of the plot, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful, grand scale film. It's literally Forge for IMAX. But again, the question we have to ask ourselves, is it enough? Time will tell. I think it's a wild card. I did see a couple of folks bring up the fact that the initial number reported as the budget is just from a Californian tax credit, so it doesn't reflect the total cost. So the final budget, the final number might be significantly more. Either way though, I'm looking forward to the movie. I've been a fan of Mando since day one, but it would be a shame if these box office projections are correct. If for no other reason, it might dissuade Lucasfilm from doing future Mandoverse projects. After this movie and Ahsoka, if they don't perform well, this could very much be the end. And I think there is so much more potential, with all of the characters from the spin-offs like Boba Fett, Skeleton Crew. So, like I said, a series of bizarre decisions from Lucasfilm that have led us to this point, but there isn't too much more to say about this until May 22nd. We are due a final trailer very soon, so look out for my full breakdown of that. Are you guys excited though? It's so easy to go overboard with all of this, but I think if we're looking at things at face value, there are concerns, there's no denying that, but I'm curious how it resonates with the general audience. Share your thoughts in the comments down below, my dear friends, and if you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and may the Force be with you, always.